Hey, Decathlon Gamer, welcome back to PCM23 Lions, episode 147. Gosh, that's a lot of episodes. This is very quickly coming up on the longest series that I've ever done. I have topped 150 before, but only just. I think PCM22 had about 130-ish, so we have exceeded that. But anyway, here's our scenario, and I'm on pause to lay it out before I move along. We'll not show every kilometer of this stage, but early on some important things are coming. Let's catch up on where we're at in this La Vuelta. Matoni leads. We're in the middle week, and the middle week has two decisive stages. Very decisive for the GC battle. Two big stages, big time gaps could potentially occur, but also decisive because Sami Arab is a couple days away from beginning his fitness peak. And a lot of his teammates. Just 2 of 8 are on their fitness peaks right now. So the other 6 are hovering around +1, +2s on their expected race day conditions, including Arab. It's potential time losses for Arab that had me worried. But the first of the 2 decisive stages, if you saw of last episode, went incredibly well in some really good ways. First, Arab lost 0 time. A couple of the other contenders around the top 10 did lose some time, half a minute or just over a minute. Most of those about a half a minute, but that's a gain for us. We didn't lose, and we actually gained on some competitors. But then something that you see from time to time in Grand Tours occurred. Somewhere around that first week, you have somebody who is a favorite, who is a contender, but has the jersey already, and they don't want it. They don't want their team to have to control the peloton for the next 15 stages or 20 stages of the race. It's too early to be wearing the jersey and to expect their team to still be going strong in the third week. So you hand the jersey off to somebody. And the best way to do that is to get a breakaway that contains riders who are not a threat, but where a couple of them, 2, 3, 4, 5, have a close enough gap still, because it's early enough in the race and there hasn't been intense enough stages, that they find themselves gaining 6, 8, 10 minutes over the field. The breakaway's allowed to claim the victory. And in doing so, that 2, 3, 4, 5 riders gain enough time to take the jersey away from the overall leader by some marginal amount. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. 5 minutes is really pushing it. But you want them to have just a little bit of a cushion. Well, that happened. And I recognized it right from the get-go that, oh, I know where this is heading. Like, nobody's trying to control this. So I attacked with Matoni. And Matoni ended up being the best placed of the group. So Matoni is leading the race, and by 2 minutes compared to the contenders. So it's not a significant gap. And he's a 78 mountain, 74 stamina kind of guy who's probably not going to be a contender. But he's not bad, and he might be able to hang on to this for a little bit. But now we have the situation where it's our responsibility to lead the pack. But what ends up happening in these scenarios is the team who relinquished the jersey, they definitely don't have to control now. But the team that has the jersey doesn't necessarily need to control either, especially in our situation, because we also have the white jersey, the under 25s jersey, with our actual team leader, Sami Arab, who dropped that few spots because those few guys jumped up the order, so we actually gained a couple spots otherwise on contenders, and we find ourselves in a virtual 6th and an actual 9th, 3:41 down on our teammate, meaning a minute 41 down on contenders, top contenders, or roughly. So Arab's our leader, and he's not leading the race, so there's no reason for us to bury ourselves to protect Matoni, which means we can relinquish that control to a second place rider or a third place rider. But the best and easiest way to do that is the same thing that got Matoni the jersey in the first place, and that is get somebody who's high enough up the order into the breakaway, but not a contender, that if the breakaway takes off and does something again like we saw in the last stage, we find ourselves yo-yoing straight to the front and putting guys in some sort of firm control. But importantly, sacrificing one rider if the peloton does chase hard to not have to expend 4, 5, 6 riders to chase, to control, to be the team that is the red jersey wearer. We could force somebody else into that. So our goal today is to get somebody who's in the top 20, but not a contender, up the road. We can't do Matoni because he's currently leading. We can't do Arab because he is a GC guy and he's in the top 10 and threatening. And they will take him seriously. But we have 2 other options. Mason Samuels, well placed right off the front line. He could get up the road very quickly, and he's got a +2 race day condition, and we're probably just going to take him 17th, 5 minutes down overall. But if that breakaway gets enough of an advantage, he could find himself well placed in the GC. The other rider was Benuna. He has a +5. I'd be happy to do it. For one, he's not a great climber to begin with. 2, he's a little bit further down at 23rd. And 3, he's way too far. He's at the back of the peloton, so Samuels is going to be an easy choice. So let's get Samuels into the break. Let's see what happens. Get the break established. Take our foot off the gas. It's not up to us to lead this peloton, and let's see if that works out. Race day condition is actually a good draw here, by the way. We've got a lot of guys that are looking good, and I have 4 guys that are about to sit this one out, as they're already neatly at the front. So off goes Samuels into the break to be joined by others, and now the big thing is to watch their position. We just don't want anybody who's within 5 minutes getting up the road. So far, so good. Nobody's in any sort of contention right now that's heading up the road. 16:30. I'm wondering if I want to send a second guy up the road to support him. There's enough up the road now. This can stop the breakaway from expanding, or this just gives me support. Yeah, see, that brought other teams forward. Nobody was leading this thing, and suddenly there's teams, there's riders that are like, whoa, 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 hold on a second. Okay, Samuels is going to sit up, waiting for his teammate. Captain's going to try to get in control to be there, and we're going to keep an eye on things here, especially as I still have a few riders coming forward, like Ashimwe and Isaacs and Benuna. Okay, that's my team all in place now. So I've got Samuels and a support rider in Habtum on the way up here. 40 seconds ahead. What is the gap overall? And keeping it under control. I think they're not too impressed by Habtum chasing, which was the whole point of doing that, right? To give some support to Samuels, but also to stop the breakaway from growing endlessly. All right, always riding for Arab. He's got a +2 today. He's got the exact expected race day condition. Henoke is looking, he's weak, but he's also got great stamina and is a good climber base. But there's such good race day condition bonuses out of everybody else. I don't think he's going to be a leader today. Yeah, we got an 82, 80. All right, well, Habtum has made contact with the group. He does not have much energy left, but we're going to get him to sit on and see if he can recover and if this group can establish itself. I'm pretty sure the field was interested in pulling back Habtum, but now that he has established contact in the group, you can see that the group is successfully opening up that gap. They might not be a threat today, or they might be a threat today. One way or another, I've got 2 riders, and Habtum will, once recovered, protect Samuels, and at some stage, if the group does not get a substantial advantage, I'll allow Samuels to come back to the group still as fresh as I can make him, so that he can still support today. But support is definitely good. I'm going to set this group up for some long term, and then Habtum is slowly recovering right now, but I'm not going to have Samuels protect him. I'll let him just sit on. Actually, you know what? Samuels is fine. Let's give Habtum some help. There we go. Getting a little bit of recovery. We seem to be stable at 3 minutes, which is not a significant gap for the day. And the peloton's under control. with the #1 team not having to do the work. Very happy. Very happy with those circumstances right now. All right, Haptum is not fully recovered, but we are at the stage where it's time to reverse the roles as we are going to start going up. I'm also going to get water. Gap at 322. And Oak's going to go get water for the group here as well. First climb of the day. It's a long, and we're going uphill now. The official climb is still well ahead of us, but it's a long, gradual Cat 2. Not a bad one. The following two, though, are pretty severe. Officially on the climb now. 7K to go till the top. Peloton, barely feeling it, but not riding easy. Definitely chasing harder than normal. There's a lot of teams that are invested into this stage. The gap has opened a little bit, now 3 minutes and 40 seconds, but only just. Haptum has not expended much energy. We're down to 2.5K. This is where we need to have action. So we're going to take Haptum, and he's a nice pure climber. We're going to have Samuels follow. For this group, it's all about Samuels. We supported Haptum for a while. He didn't get much recovery. He will get a lot more recovery on the descent to come. But this now brings us forward with just under 1K to go to the top of this thing, and Haptum's the one going deep, and it's easy for Samuels. Now we're seeing the attack of some riders, and Haptum's just putting his foot down a little bit and pulling Samuels over the top so we don't have to attack. Okay, setting up, recovering. I'm going to allow both to recover during the descent. Samuels can ride his own race for a little bit. Gap still at just 350. It's opened up by about 20 to 30 seconds as the peloton approaches the top of the climb. The attack added about 1 minute, you could see, in that last kilometer. So it's now out to 440. Chance for something. As far as I know, from everybody attacking, Samuels is the highest placed rider in this group at 5 minutes and 8 seconds down. At this point, we do not have that sort of gap, so we are not threatening GC. Haptum, fully recovered now, and we'll go back into protecting Samuels, who we're going to set up a little bit. Biggest climb of the day, the Vuelta. Samuels is struggling to hold position at a 79 effort. This group will not be intact at the top, but with a 5-minute advantage over the field is not losing any ground on them, so they're pushing tempo. It doesn't look as bad out here. Actually, you see it's starting to open. It's now 5.5 minutes. So right now, they are being allowed to open things up, which is good for our race for Arab, and it's good for Samuel's potential in this one. Also, with some intensity here and some support for Samuel's, things are looking really positive right now for the second stage in a row that our strategy, our tactics are going to pay off. Let's do a quick check-in. We've checked in on time, but let's check in on the climb. We got a 79 in genometer. Haptum today has a 79. Samuels today has an 81, so he is not the favorite. Palace is a 76. You got a few guys that are quite solid. Clark has a 78, and that's the group. So Samuels is one of, I'd say, 4 riders, or 5 if you count Haptum, but I think Haptum's a bit below that mark. It's really just his +3 that's giving him a boost here. I don't mind, again, if we fall into that same scenario as we did on that last stage, where we don't go claim a victory, but move up the order significantly amongst just a couple of guys who are not actual threats, and put ourselves in a bigger, better, stronger position, and keep the pressure off of Arab until his fitness peak kicks in at that during that final week. 18.5K to go on the climb for Samuels. Meanwhile, it's 22. So these guys are about 3.5K behind down the road, at nearly 7 minutes behind now, and at the moment, Arab is almost at 100%. He's a good 98, 99 right now, just barely feeling it, and the gap's growing. Samuels is definitely feeling it, as is Haptum, and I have a feeling that we're going to start to drop riders out of the breakaway here fairly soon, because the gap is opening pretty quick because they are pushing, and Like I said, there's only 4 guys that are good climbers, and then there's another 10 or so that are decent climbers. Now it's out to 8 minutes. We are into the territory where Samuels is now the virtual leader of the race to take it off his teammates' back. Haptum is not going to make the top, and we are starting to see riders break off. Haptum is going to gel now. This is all about Samuels, so we're going to keep him going. 15 riders left in this group. 13 riders left in this group. Still 9K to go as it's down to 11. Lost contact with that group. What's the 75 going to look like? We've got 9K to go. 5 chasing. Haptum's dropped. Checking back in here. The gap is out to 10 minutes. And no stress. No stress at all. Saving it for the final climb. So Samuels drops all but Kugelman and regains contact. We are with Paulus, Navarro, Donovan, Detail, and Kugelman suddenly down to 4. 7K to go. However, things are going to really ease off at the top. I don't care about the KOM points. Really don't. But we've got to keep an eye on what's going to happen with things there. And also, of course, thinking about the GC side of it, as they're 11 minutes up the road. Are we going to put Samuels into a situation where he's... It's down to 2. It's just him and Paulus. Paulus is 12:48 down, so we've got, you know, a near 8-minute advantage on Paulus. If these two can gain 15 minutes, he's going to have a 10-minute lead on his teammate, who has a 10-minute lead on the other guys, or 2-minute lead on the other guys. So he could be at 12. Okay, we've got to contribute. That's okay. Let's contribute. So that would suddenly put us at, you know, a massive advantage. That Samuels, you know, I think you could hang on to a 12-minute type advantage. We could start thinking about not only wearing the red jersey for a day, but wearing the red jersey, like, period, all the way to the final day. And that's why I don't mind something like this happening. Okay, I think we were second over the top. Not that I care. Kugelman still leads, and yeah, Paulus got 10. Samuels has 6. Paulus ready to contribute. Gap at 12 minutes. Haptum is still well placed, but we're going to just sit on with actually, Haptum needs to just be sitting on. Haptum's going to go back to protect at some point Sammy Arab. 136 in the peloton. No stress, 12 minutes behind. And there's, you know, a brief moderate Cat 3, and then the final climb. Back it off a little bit more. Try to get that full recovery on the descent for the climb to come. It's fine if they pull back 40 seconds descending if we're at full strength and able to really push on the climb, as opposed to having half strength on the climb and climbing much slower. Same with Haptum, who's just sitting on 90 heart rate and not working. Come on, Paulus. You've not taken a turn in freaking forever. We've got 4 guys coming up on us, and that's probably a good thing. 6 riders coming together in minute 44 as we're about to hit a point where we're going to have to do some work. Mark Donovan, Navarro, Detail, and Kugelman all coming together, beginning to go uphill. We're going to give minimum effort for a while, save it for the final climb. Haptum sitting on, fully recovered, looking pretty good. About 6 minutes ahead of everybody else. And speaking of everybody else, 51K to go, and now descending. Hendok, we're going to get water. That they're just at the top of the descent, and these guys are, you know, already at the bottom. Right now, this is going in a second straight ideal scenario. Vlasov involved in a fall. Our peloton group is full strength, well before the bottom of the climb. Well before, so they are well set. We're going to try to take it easy on the Cat 3 that Samuels is on right now. We're up to 11. Samuels, time to push. Just briefly, 1K from the top. This is about the guys going for the KOM and negating, the attack a bit. There's also enough riders here where I can sit on for the descent. He'll be at the top, 1.8k. I'll keep pushing on a little bit. These guys. Make sure we're not drifting too far, too fast. Peloton's got 32. Field split multiple times here. And I've got my entire group in this peloton. We don't want to get dropped from this. 2.2k to go. Let's hold that position. Haptum is going to get his full recovery here soon. 9 minutes ahead to Samuels. Oh, this is crazy. Samuels. Looking good. Way down the hill there from Haptum. Ah, crap. I increased effort to 80. We lose contact anyway. We're about to hit the top. Let's... Okay, Samuels is fine. Haptum is going to reach that bottom soon, and we'll tell him to wait for the group soon after. But we've got to make contact. We up the effort. This is the problem with having riders spread out. This is why I don't like to have riders spread out, right? You can't be paused all the time. You have to unpause at some point and let time progress. And we are riding for Arab overall, but obviously right now, what Samuels is doing is a very important thing. Here we freaking go again. Haptum, still riding alone. And I think I'm going to tell him to now wait for the group. But there's Samuels. Suddenly has lost contact. Did they attack him because he's not contributing? Yeah, it looks like it. So Samuels is just going to climb his pace while these guys beat themselves up. They're still attacking. Like, that's burning through red bar. They're full gas, and Samuels is just sitting there like, yeah, no worries. And Hinoke. I'll have both of them working. Samuel's back in the group. Got a couple guys that don't want to pull, that it's not up to them. 85 we can't carry on long term, so I'm actually going to back off now. If they want to escape again, that's fine. We're just going to literally climb at our tempo as this group disintegrates. Back together, we have got to contribute though. And they're attacking because we're not, and we're a threat. That wasted a lot of energy for that group, and they're not yet halfway up the climb. The Velfique, 14.6k, 7%. We still have 9.6, so we've gone 5k. We're just over a third of the way up the climb, and in one of the steepest portions of it right now. So we're going to back off a little bit on that whole let's contribute thing. And these guys still have not made contact. We're going to have to just run our tempo, run our race, and be careful. It's 12.6k. We will sprint trade it at some point to control. Again, this group deciding they don't want to contribute, that they don't want to do anything, and that they're going to attack. And we're back in there. There we go. Much less tempo than before. 9:48 the gap. We're a minute 28 behind the group with 10k to go. I'm going to set like a straight 80. Time for this group to start making some forward progress. Getting back in there. Haptum, he's going to have to push a little bit harder as he's the weak link, and going to just keep going back and forth. 6.5k to go for Samuels. But of course we now face the disappointing situation of, this is why I don't generally like to put riders in the break, because things like that happen. There was no reason for us to get dropped. No reason at all. Except that I didn't see what happened. Peloton's coming pretty hard, but we're making our chase. 7k. Everybody's feeling it, so Haptum's pace is actually pretty dang high right now. We're leaving a lot of riders behind, and we're chasing down a peloton that itself is moving pretty dang hard. 2.8. I think he can handle that. Oh, Haptom's done. Just again, it happens. 5K though. It's time for these guys to start going a lot harder. Like, what's going on? Tony and Arab lost contact briefly to a teammate that wasn't even like, go around somebody. It's just too much going on. 2K to go. Hanouk's about to run out of energy. 1.6K for Samuels. We can go about an 87. Hanouk is done. On to Benuna. These other guys need to gel, at least the next two. Arab does not have a ton of energy. 3.9K. And we are catching up to the peloton riders pretty quickly. But anything we could have done with the stage is blown up by the that simple fact that we are... Kukelman wins the stage. Palace, Van Gils, Samuels gets fourth. Okay, finally I can focus on my guys. And 2.8K, low energy, but all having a little something in the tank. We're overtaking a lot of guys, catching up certainly, but Arab is barely hanging on right now. Remember, he's only got a +2 right now. He's got a lot of teammates in front of him that are strong, but it's 1K to go, so we're trying to make that last push. There's Piganzoli. There's Alonso. And Arab is done. So we're just going to try to pull. Okay, we definitely lost time to a couple guys, but most of the front of the field until Almeida. Almeida has won the stage of the contenders. Top 10, we're all breakaway guys gaining significant time. Both Matoni and Arab are still well placed here, but again, we did not fully get back. We overtook a lot of riders, though. We definitely overtook a lot of riders, but one chaos moment. One chaos moment. We were just fine. I saw that we had drifted back. I drastically increased the effort to hold the position on a climb that wasn't a serious climb. I mean, that was not a dangerous climb. Something happened. We didn't see it. That's the problem with trying to manage more than one location at a time. That's why I'm not a fan of it. Over the years in this game, I've gotten plenty of criticism of why don't you put riders in the break more often. That's exactly why I do not put riders in the break more often. Things were going well, all of a sudden they weren't, and there wasn't a valid reason for it, and we would have been there still at the end. Now, seeing Arab struggling in the final, he would have lost time today. He would not have been with Almeida or Vingegaard or Gregoire. Would he have been with Ayuso a little bit further down? Probably. Instead, he gets 28th instead of about 20th. Not a big time difference on where we would have been, but I'm thinking we probably lost a good 30 seconds that we wouldn't have lost. So Samuels finishes 54 seconds down. Almeida comes in at 5:21, so we gained nearly 5 minutes on these guys. But remember, most of them were 2 minutes further down to Matoni. It's Matoni that Samuels was 5 minutes behind and has gained that and more. Ashimwe comes across the line at 7:25. Matoni at 7:36. Arab at 7:40. So 7:40 with these guys at 5:20. 2 minute difference. 2 minute difference. It's going to put them back in the top of the standings unless Samuels has it. And Samuels does have it. Samuels is the new leader of this race. Gregoire is a minute 31 down. Matoni is a minute 34 in third place. Almeida is a minute 54. Piganzoli is just under 2. Petrovic, Vingegaard, Rodriguez, Davida all still up there. Arab does drop some spots. Drops 4. He is 5:19 down. Definitely not what I was planning on, right? Not how I was hoping things would go. But we do find ourselves with 3 riders at near the very top of the standings, still in a strong position. Currently, Girmay leads the points classification, Kugelman leads the KOM, Matoni leads the young riders from Davida, and then Arab. So we are like a minute and a half down on the guy we don't want to be behind on, and is a real contender for that one. So that's a concern. And then the team. Number one. We are number one as a team right now with how the last couple stages have gone. This is not a big, important classification, but at this point, I'm kind of going, I kind of want to have that. Okay, 2 decisive stages where time losses could have happened. To an extent, both stages went perfectly with the breakaway concept. To an extent, one of the stages went perfectly for Arab. The second one, a little bit less so. And in the very end, at the end of the stage, he did lose a little more time than I thought he was going to lose. Right, that push right at the end of the stage by your Almeida and Vingegaard Gregoire guys, they pulled away by a good 40 seconds from the group. Then some riders fell away. We overtook lots of them, but not all of them. And so gains of the few, which would have had those gains either way, right? Even if we're there, Arab faded at the very end. That was going to be the same either way. We would have just initially been that about 55 seconds up the road that happened within that last kilometer where we lost sight of them for 500 meters and lost contact, and then took over and solidified that gap. The chase down at the end, either way, he's running out of energy and losing time. It's just where would he have been? Probably with Ayuso and Herman. So that cost Arab about a minute today. So with where he's at, he should be about 4:19, which would be 10th place right now. That would be my estimate on where he would have been if not for the 500 meter slip where we looked forward, looked back, and they lost contact. But he still would have been, losing time to some key guys today. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He would have been about 8th in the GC. But here's the thing. We do find ourselves with a pretty solid climber in Samuels and in Matoni that are both in the top 3 right now. Suddenly, Arab's outside of the top 10. So is he the guy that I send into the break the next time? And we suddenly, because, hey, there's co-leaders right there who can climb. That don't climb much worse than Arab. So do we send Arab up the road for the next one, for the next opportunity? And do the same thing, slingshot forward, gain 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and find him in the lead of the race? Now that we're in 13th, it's a possibility. This strategy could still pay off for us. That is going to do it for this episode, though. Just a single stage, but man, oh man, was it a big one. Queen stage? I don't know. But that last week, where things get really intense again, all 3 of these guys should be on fitness peaks at that point. Certainly hope that all 3 manage to get there. Arab is just a couple days away for sure. Big opportunities coming. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.